Welcome. My name is Zach Withers. I'm the headmaster of Anthem Preparatory Academy. I have with me today Jake Tawney, our Chief Academic Officer, and Rosalind Fletcher, our Director of College Counseling. And we're going to talk about our curriculum here at Great Hearts. Like our K-5 program and our middle school program, our mission is to cultivate the hearts and minds of students through the pursuit of truth, goodness, and beauty. And one way we do that is through our curriculum. And so that's what we're going to focus on here this video here. First, I'd like to pitch a question to Mr. Tawney. At Great Hearts, if you look at our curriculum sequence, you'll notice that there's a core curriculum, and there's a few options here and there that students get to choose, but by and large, they're going through the same course of study in the same sequence. And I was hoping that Mr. Tawney here could explain some of the reason behind that.
Yeah, it's a great question, Mr. Withers. Thank you for that. Yeah, there are two reasons why we have a core curriculum. One is that this gives students the opportunity to explore really all of the liberal arts, to have a deep experience in all of the areas, whether it's the fine arts or math or science or literature or philosophy or history. All students get to progress through that same sequence so that they get that formation that you talked about, the formation in truth, goodness, and beauty that we see emphasized in the various courses and the various disciplines. But the second reason is that it gives students a chance to go through the courses as a community of learners, not just as an individual, but to really develop those close bonds with their fellow students during those high school years as they engage in conversation around the same content. Now, that doesn't mean, as you pointed out, that the curriculum is without choice altogether. First and foremost, new ninth graders will have a chance to select their language, whether they want to continue their study of Latin and then progress through Greek, or whether they want to study a modern language like French or Spanish. At the tail end of their high school careers, there are some options built into the senior year: logic and coding, the American rhetorical experience, and some things like that. And then finally, I would say there's a really important choice of the texts that students will choose individually for when they write their senior thesis and defend their senior thesis that senior year.
Yeah, and just speaking from the experience as an academy headmaster, it's really wonderful to see, one of our football players starring in a play, and then also, solving Euclidean proofs, or, having them be in calc class or doing a lab experiment. And I remember our founder, Dan Scoggin, would often say we're creating Renaissance young men and women. And I think we do that through that variety in our core curriculum. As you mentioned books, and I thought it'd be a good time to transition into one of our great books courses, Humane Letters. You might see that on our curriculum list and wonder what that means. It's a program where the students do read and discuss great books. They learn writing, and in the earlier grades, they learn some history. And I was hoping, Mr. Tawney, you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, the Humane Letters sequence has surely a pride of place in all of our curriculum from kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade. So starting in the 9th grade, students will engage in a 2-hour class. And as you pointed out, it involves literature, it involves works of philosophy, original sources, but also then some history instruction. But during this time, students will be engaged for 2 hours a day, every day from grades 9 through 12 in civil discourse, in conversation around the greatest books that have been written. And each year has something of a theme. So in 9th grade, students will experience American literature and American philosophy. So whether it's reading My Antonia by Willard Cather, or some of the founding documents, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers. In 10th grade, the students will continue that sort of civil conversation, that civil discourse, and in their exploration of modern Europe, when they read the philosophy of Locke and Rousseau, but also texts like Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. 11th grade becomes an experience in the ancient world, so Plato and Aristotle, but also the Iliad and the Odyssey. And then finally, as something of a capstone in 12th grade, students will read literature from Rome all the way up through modernity. And the real importance of this course is that students learn to listen and to really dialogue, to have that dialogos, that common pursuit of the truth, where they can listen respectfully and respectfully respond. And that we believe is an important skill in what it means to be human, but particularly important skill in today's day and age.
Yeah, and as a headmaster, I often give tours to prospective families, and that's one of the last classes we always go to is in 11th or 12th grade human letters. And by and large, parents are blown away by the conversation that's happening, and even the setup of the room just looks different. It's set up in a circle or a square. Students are looking at each other, and the teacher is not telling the students what they should know about the text, but facilitating a conversation. It's really unique to a high school program to have that as a feature every day throughout 4 years. And so it is a benchmark of one of our and a standard for one of our academies. But that said, as our students go through our program, they also do take an interest in math and science. And we were talking earlier that over 50% of our students go through our program and then choose a STEM field after high school. And so tell us about the math and science program that gets them to, be interested in science as a career.
Yeah, so if humane letters in some ways has a pride of place and is our bread and butter, my heart really lies, particularly in mathematics, but also in the sciences as well. It's important to note, we talk a lot about having a liberal arts curriculum, but it's important to note that being a liberal arts curriculum, math and science also have to have an important place. We would never say that we are liberal arts plus math and science. For the ancients, math and science were a very important part of what it meant to be educated, of those true liberal arts. For our math program, students start off their ninth grade year with a really exciting opportunity to learn geometry by studying Euclid and his works, where they're going to learn the art of mathematics through reading his proofs, presenting those proofs to one another, and they're going to culminate their experience at the end of high school by learning calculus. Calculus is the pinnacle of Western mathematics, and it really brings together a lot of the threads that students have learned in their early experience of geometry and of algebra. In the sciences, no less important, students will start off with biology, move on to chemistry, and then finally have an experience in physics for 11th and 12th grade. And again, that number, 50% of our graduates going on and pursuing degrees in STEM fields, is a real tribute to our very robust math and science courses. And I would be remiss if I didn't also mention a really exciting opportunity in the 12th grade year as part of those senior options to take a course called Logic and Coding. This is a course that brings together ancient logical structures, getting kids to really understand what it means to think and to present truth, but ultimately using that to understand what it means to write code for a computer. And to really be able to draw that thread from one through the other is really, in my opinion, very much a life-changing course for students.
Yeah, very popular one. We always have two sections of it because it's so popular every year. And we talked about great books in our Human Letters program, and not only is it maybe unique to read the books that we read, but we also approach them in a unique way. So I'm wondering, could you speak to maybe if we study biology, chemistry, physics, and we study up to calculus and math, can you speak about the unique way we approach those compared to maybe a traditional high school?
Sure. One of the things that we tell our new teachers when we're training them, particularly our math and science teachers, is we do not study math and science because they are useful. They are useful, and applications are a really important thing that comes out of the math and sciences. But that's not why we study them. We study math because there is something unique in the human soul that can only be satisfied by thinking mathematically. And the same thing is true of science. There's something unique in the human soul that can only be satisfied through scientific inquiry. We believe about those disciplines the same thing we believe about all of our disciplines, that fundamentally it's about what it means to be fully human. And so what you will see in those classes is a real deep exploration of the truths of science, of the problems of science, and also of the problems and ultimate truths of mathematics. And that shapes not only the content that we provide them, but it also shapes the way in which it's presented. So in mathematics, for example, students will always start with a problem, because we know that true mathematics needs to be motivated by the exploration of the math itself, by the problem itself. The same thing is true in science. Scientific truths should never simply be stated and memorized, but they should come out of observation, whether it's collecting data about the observation of a physical phenomenon in physics, or whether it's about making observations of a particular life form in biology class. All of science should start with observation and move from there. And that's a very different approach than you might see in schools that don't have that classical approach to math and science.
Yeah, great. Well said. You mentioned before senior thesis, and I was wondering if you could say a little bit more about that. In college, sometimes depending on what program you go through, you have to do at the end of your bachelor's a thesis, maybe at the master's level. But what does that look like in high school at a Great Hearts Academy?
Yeah, the first thing to note about what it looks like in high school is it's very unique. This is very unique for Great Hearts to say, we want students to have a culminating experience where they bring together a lot of things that they've learned over the course of 9th through 12th grade and to put it together into a claim that they themselves are making. A lot of what students have done up until that point is to talk about what they're finding in the texts themselves. For example, looking at Aristotle and Plato and really digesting their arguments. In senior year, when they do their thesis, it's a chance for the students themselves to make a claim and to stand by that claim and to support that claim through works of literature and works of philosophy. And so students will leverage some books that they've read during their time at Great Hearts, but they'll also then leverage books that they themselves have chosen to read as part of this thesis project. And they will produce a well-written 20-page thesis defending their thoughts, and then have the opportunity to sit in front of a panel of teachers to defend their thesis and to defend it not only against the panel, but also against questions from the audience, but include the students' own family members. And it's a great opportunity for families to come into the school and to see the fruits of what has happened, beginning in that very first 9th grade Humane Letters class and ending in 12th grade as students write that paper and stand up and defend their ideas formally.
Yeah, well said again. And for most of my career at Great Hearts, I've sat on these panels, I've advised students. It's one of my favorite times of year to see that culminating assignment. And at the end, there's lots of celebration. Families go out to eat, and they can kind of take a step back and just be proud of what they've done, because it is a year-long project that they engage in with lots of support from the academy. I do want to transition slightly here to some college counseling questions. So we do have a director of college counseling as well as college counselors at each one of our academies. It's part of our high school program. And so since we've been talking about our curriculum, and the transcript of a Great Hearts School can look unique because of this core curriculum, because of some of the classes we take. I think the first question is just, can you tell us a little bit about how colleges see a Great Hearts transcript?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Withers. So when students apply, they will be applying through the common application or directly to the institution, and we will be sending a transcript and a school profile along with the student's application on their behalf. When they receive the Great Hearts transcript, they'll be looking to make sure that students have been taking the most rigorous curriculum available to them offered at their individual high school. And all of our students are taking the most rigorous curriculum available to them. We have an all honors curriculum, and that is indicated on the transcript along with a weighted GPA and an unweighted GPA. So students will be recognized for the rigor that they're choosing by attending a Great Hearts School through the transcript, both by the course title and by the weighted GPA being printed on the transcript. The school profile also talks about the different courses that students take while at a Great Hearts School to educate college reps about what students are doing on our campuses and the different course offerings and the senior thesis as well. So those items are touched upon, and it's also part of a college counselor's responsibility to educate college reps when they come to our campuses, when they do visits, about what our education entails and the curriculum that our students are taking through 9th through 12th grade each year. And that's our privilege to be able to educate college reps when they're on our campus.
Yeah, excellent. And it is the case, though, that the college process and the onboarding that we do for students is kind of baked into the curriculum as well. And there's scheduled time that our college counselors are spending with students throughout the 4 years. So if you could just tell us about what that looks like from freshman year going up to senior year, where you're most closely working with our seniors.
Yeah, the college counseling program at a Great Hearts Academy is very unique. college counselors are able to get to know students very well in a unique way to be able to write a personal and unique letter of recommendation when students go off to college and through that college application process. So some of the things that a Great Hearts student can expect to be exposed to is some standardized testing. So we do ask that all of our 10th and 11th graders take the PSAT, which is the preliminary PSAT. We also have an ACT sequence that students participate in, and that's the 9th grade Aspire, the 10th grade pre-ACT, and then the 11th grade ACT school day. We are able to get into the classroom and to have a curriculum that we deliver to our 11th and 12th grade students each year. So in 11th grade, it's College Admissions 101. So we're in the classroom anywhere from 3 to 5 times per semester, covering a specific topic that's related to the college search and selection process. So that could include the personal statement, scholarships, resume writing, identifying schools, so the college search and finding fit and the college search process. So college counselors really get into the classroom, they deliver the curriculum, and that allows them to get to know their students in a very personal way to assist with creating a college list and picking out colleges that students will eventually be applying to in the fall of their senior year.
Great. And we really appreciate the work that all of our college counselors do. That's an important part of our program at every Great Hearts Academy. And just as we wrap up here, I want to remind you that we do accept applications year-round, but the best time to apply is open enrollment. If you'd like to learn more, you just go to greathearts.org. Thank you for joining us about our curriculum.